Hello and welcome to Wait, It Gets Better, the improvisational storytelling podcast, where we, your hosts, record stories for you, our dedicated and loyal listeners. I'm, of course, Levi.
And I'm Seth.
And we're here to discuss our most recent story and talk about it for just a few minutes, sort of a post-game review of Earth is a Factory Farm.
Well, Levi, I'd say they put in a good game last week. I mean, the X's really gave it to the O's, but the O's tried to make a nice comeback, with the special strategies they had, but they just didn't quite have enough sports in it to really make it over the edge. So the X's really hammered it home, didn't they?
Yeah, maybe if they paid their players more than a small country's worth of salary, maybe they could really sports really hard.
Maybe they could take some of their players and pay them not to play.
I think that does in fact happen.
It does. It was on the radio a while back where they paid someone like $13 million not to play. And I was like, what? I wish I could be paid $13 million not to play a sport.
Yeah. All right, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Earth as a Factory Farm. So this was kind of an interesting one, and here's one of the reasons why. I've been struggling a lot with how to write some good notes. I don't do a very good job of giving show notes, like where I kind of like talk about what we've talked about. And I've been experimenting with, is this a place where something like AI would be valuable, right? I can make the transcript of our episode. I can upload it to an AI, and the AI can give me a sort of a rundown on the episode. And so that is what I've been doing. So the last couple episodes have sort of a little bit more of an expanded show notes where there's like a little bit of a description with each episode. Sorry if I'm springing this on you, Seth, but
no, I think I was there when you were running I forget which one it was.
Yeah.
But you ran one of them through and we were kind of reading it.
Yeah, it's really eerie considering the storyline of Earth is a Factory Farm. It's really eerie how accurate it is to off-put the information the information gathering and organization onto something else other than myself for my own podcast. I understand there's the idea of it's your thing. You have only so much time, find ways to be more efficient. But it was also terrifying how easy it was just to put in the transcript and say, hey, give me a short synopsis of this. In the same way in the story, the aliens came and said, hey, let's simplify your life. But in reality, they were stealing from humanity, like sort of key components of humanity. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I'm still thinking about whether or not I'm going to continue to use AI in my synopsis building for episodes. But I have been thinking about whether or not it's like good for me as a person who's trying to like be creative, to do creative writing, to off-put creative writing to something else, Anyways, that's the thing I was thinking about.
I think some of that, like it's a tool.
Right.
I think that, in some cases, especially in writing, because I've seen it come up where they're starting to like output books just done up by AI. And,
right.
People are picking up on that because it's like, wait, this is kind of weird. Like, it just doesn't have a certain, I don't know if it's rhythm or something.
Right.
It. And that would be something to kind of not like be fearful, but be leery of.
Right.
But I think as far as any reasonable, because I remember when we were putting that one through, it was like, wow, it did a synopsis of it up pretty quick. But I think I remember like the twist that it put on it revealed that it really wasn't, as far as some of that goes, like not really AI, because like someone had to program the AI. Because I know there was certain things that in the story is a certain way, but then took and then just kind of, put the more cited twist on it.
Yeah, it definitely, like, in Earth is a Factory Farm, we did mention things like a lot of Earth's sort of natural flora and fauna had been removed and destroyed. And so it definitely started drawing these kind of conclusions that that we were creating a story, sort of an allegory about like the dangers of like environmental destruction and stuff like that. And it was it was interesting because it was like, yeah, I am drawing that story, except I'm writing a fiction story about aliens who force us to farm only beef and mushrooms. I'm not trying to make a statement about how we need to protect the planet, which I think we do need to protect the planet, but there's lots of different opinions about how to best do that. And it was interesting to me how the AI sort of was making decisions about how to present the story that we were writing, almost as if it was taking some of the narrative away from us, and kind of, it was just interesting. I thought,
and I think that might be something, because that's what I was trying to get at, is like the using it as a tool. And as someone, I do a lot of work with tools and stuff for my job. And I mean, obviously, like if you're going to use something, you check to make sure that it's working right. And it gets kept in, the garage or the tool shed. I think, being this is about stories and books, one of the things that always struck me kind of along these lines, from not Ender's Game, but it's one of the books that kind of come after Ender's Game.
The Shadow series, or still in the Ender series?
No, not the Shadow. I think it was the Speaker of the Dead series.
Okay, yeah.
There's a character in there, and of course, if anyone's familiar with that, they have these desks. And Ender's Game came out in 70s?
Yeah, I think so.
They didn't have tablets, but basically what they had were tablets, like we would have tablets or phones today.
Right.
And the one character was kind of, it's the modern world. We're all over space and, zipping back and forth and, blah, blah, blah. And, you had to be connected to all the systems to get the updates. And he was like a high official, but he kept his technology in his garden shed because it was a tool just as much as the rake or the shovel.
As like a reminder to himself, or as like a way to
right.
Yeah, I guess to keep it separated.
To keep it separated. So this is my life. And now this is a tool. I need to use this tool when I, read my email.
Right.
So it's in the tool shed, not my study inside my house, but out in my tool shed with my other tools.
Right.
Right. So that it was like a separate thing. And so I think moving into this age where we're using AI to do some of this stuff, you have to keep in mind to use it as a tool. And if the tool isn't functioning properly, or doing what you'd like it to do, or overtaking something that is necessary for you to do, that you make that adjustment and keep in mind that it's, just that. It's
right.
It's a tool. Because I think we've talked about some of this before, where it's like, right, I wouldn't want to have my books written by AI, but as far as data processing and organization,
yeah, that's,
one could have something like that set up and work very well for, data processing and stuff if it was.
Yeah, I pay for the Adobe suite, all the Adobe applications and stuff, and it's really interesting because there's lots of AI stuff inside of that. It would be nice if there was AI stuff like remove dust from this picture. Instead, what I can see is the AI's stuff like generative fill, like just drag the picture bigger and we'll use AI to fill in the space, or type in some words and we'll make an image for you. And it's like, I don't want AI coming up with things. I want AI filling in the gaps and turning a tedious project into a project that I can get through. And that's kind of but so let's go back, let's circle back around to the story.
Let's circle back to that.
Any interesting parts of the Earth as a Factory Farm for you?
I guess I was left, I don't think it was ever answered why exactly it was that the aliens wanted only particularly beef and mushrooms, but
yeah, I don't think it was answered either. I think I chose those two because beef, I don't know. I have no idea. I think it was something to do with the Earth. Maybe we said something about the environment. It also might have been when you spin up a server, you get a server and you spin it up and you're like, okay, this server is going to process these 2 lines of data. That's the point of this server. And you put it into a server farm and you walk away and it spends its whole life just processing those 2 lines of data. That's just what it does. That was kind of the idea of what the aliens were getting from us, right? They were like, here's a world. It's got green on it. It can support life. It's X number of square hectaacres in size. We can produce X number. Oh, yep, that's a good investment. Okay, go and give them, technology that we've had for hundreds, if not thousands of years. It'd be like going into a tribe and trading like a large portion of land for a couple of beads or something. That's never happened before, but it'd be kind of like that. And then they gave to us, they came down and were like these magical, crazy people. But to them, it was like middle management or like lower management that came down and made these deals with us and then kind of just turned the whole world over. I really liked Reed's magic system, and then how I expounded onto it with the seed engine and the idea of like green blindness.
Yeah, I thought of that today too. I sent you that picture, which they didn't see the picture. But when I was walking through the forest today and like walked up on that, that's the first thing that came to mind. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. It was like, it's like in a forest and there's kind of like a little glade and then there's like a stone, like a big old rock in the middle of the clearing, which is really cool. There's kind of sun coming down. I immediately thought...
Yeah, in the particular time of the day, the sun was like directly, like one of those things, like the ancient things that's like, oh, this was sun, so that on the summer solstice, the sun would come right through this hole, right? It just like felt like that. The sun was like right at the right spot where it came right over like these two pine trees and shone right on that rock. And you kind of walk in, you've got these maple trees and the green coming kind of foiling over, and then the pine trees giving kind of a dark, like
kind of background to it,
and then the moss coming up, and then just this clearing around this one rock that almost looks like it's cut and placed there, and it was just like,
you think that if you walked in close enough, like a sword would like appear, in the stone, and you'd be like, whosoever shall pull it out shall be the king of them.
Will be the king of the blueberry patch.
And what a kingdom he shall have. Oh. That's great. I wanted to mention during our talk in here that we did get an email from someone who listens to the story. His name is to the podcast. His name is Rory. And he mentioned that he likes the fact that we use Bible stories or Bible themed things in our stories, and that we should keep on discussing this. He said, whenever you stray into these topics, you should keep discussing. And I thought that was really cool. And my hat's off to you as a Christian who is able to hear us sort of, in some ways, butcher the canon of Scripture in order to like turn Bible stories into like fiction stories. So my hat's off to you for enjoying that. And I personally really like it a lot. We didn't do it in this story, but I thought I'd just bring it up because he emailed us couple of days ago. Looks like what's today, the 26th? No, it's 28th. So yeah, he did it like 6 days ago. So that, I thought that was pretty cool. Someone reaching out, telling us we're doing a good job. Thank you, Rory. I'm happy to do it. And you also mentioned you want to read the short stories when they're done. Absolutely. The plan will be, once it's done being written, mine's done being written, and after the editing's done, the plan will be to sort of release it for anyone to listen to, and then eventually get do an audiobook. It's really easy to do audiobooks and then put it on Audible, which is very easy to do these days. So,
you have Microsoft Sam read it?
Yes.
Or Microsoft Michael,
I'm going to have Chat GPT read it. But anyways, so any other interesting facts about this story that really stuck out to you? Any interesting, we do have this theme of people coming to Earth or people being manipulated by aliens in our
well, they say that people express what they're familiar with.
Yeah.
So are you being manipulated by aliens?
Probably,
Levi.
Probably. The question is, what kind of aliens? Are they the nice kind or the mean kind?
How would you know if they're manipulating you?
Nice and mean is kind of relative when it comes to manipulation. No, I want to express again. I know I've expressed it in the past. I just want to express it again. This desire to take all of our stories and listen to them over again and then start to like draw parallel lines, you know, because I feel like this is a part of a bigger struggle that's happening in the solar system, you know, this thing that happens to Earth. What?
So what you're saying is, to our devoted listeners, if there's anyone that wants to listen through all our stories and put it together,
yeah,
all the parallel lines, which ones are kind of connected together.
Anyone who has 256, well, see, they're about 40 minutes a piece. So 256 times 40 divided by 60. So if anyone has an extra 170 hours that they want to devote to listening to and categorizing, maybe this is a job for AI. What do you think, Seth? Is this a job?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It could be.
Yeah. Well, I think we're pretty much done with this one. Unless you have any other interesting inspirations from Earth is a Factory Farm, any other interesting points you wanted to make about it. I think we're pretty much done with this one.
Yeah.
Great, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for this slightly more casual version of Wait It Gets Better. We love having you guys listen, and I do see that people are listening. If you like these episodes, whether they're the story writing episodes or the one where we just kind of talk and gab for a little bit, please let us know. Our email address is waititgetsbettercast@gmail.com, or you can add us on Twitter at @getsbettercast. We would love to hear from you. Suggestions, critiques. If you want to be on the podcast, like Rory, if you want to just tell us some cool thing, I'd be happy to shout you out in an episode or two. If you want to tune in next week, we will be starting up a new story. This week we typically do three little stories or 3 episodes about the same story, and then we do kind of a recap, kind of a little bit more casual, talking about the story and our inspiration for it. So we will be back next week for all of your viewing, listening, audio pleasure. See you guys next week. Bye.